Hi, and thanks again for watching one of these great videos. My name is Stephen Jakes from Healing the Mind, and today I've got the wonderful Robert here, who's given up his time to talk about his journey. And Robert's quite a unique individual, really, because I've been working with Robert for the last couple of years. So Robert's going to share a little bit about where he was and why he come to me, and tell him a little about himself and how it's improved his life drastically over the last few years. So let's bring in Robert. So hi Robert, thanks again for giving up your time. It's great to see you. We go back a very long way. Robert was a friend of mine in my young teens. And I lost contact with you, didn't I? Really, for a good 20 years or so. Yep. And then we met through Facebook and reconnected through Facebook, and since then things have developed. So let's introduce Robert. Find out a little bit about Rob. So Rob, before we start, going into the journey and where we were, I want you to introduce yourself to the people that are watching, who you are, what you do, what you've done, your life experiences, and tell us a little bit about Robert before we delve into the deeper, darker secrets of you. So,
I'm Robert. I'm 54 years old. I work for a London local authority.
Okay.
Have done that now for the last 5 years. Before that, I was predominantly working in insurance.
Yeah.
Although I have done
other
things as well.
Yeah.
The reason that I came and contacted you, I having you as a Facebook friend for years.
Yeah.
Although we were, we might see what each other was doing on Facebook. We weren't really connected that well.
Yeah, I know exactly.
And you were starting your business.
Yeah.
And I looked at it and thought, what's Steve doing?
Yeah, what am I doing?
What's this
I think
about?
most people thought that, yeah.
And, I started seeing the success that you were having.
Yeah.
And at that time, I was in probably a very dark place.
Yeah.
I was suffering with stress, anxiety, depression, all the dark sides.
Yeah.
Rolled together in one, and I was in a really, really dark place.
Yeah.
Suicidal, and it was the case of, well, I know Steve, he's my mate.
Yeah.
He's not going to do me over.
No, I don't do anyone over, really.
Yeah. What have I got to lose?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I reached out, and I've been seeing you ever since, fortnightly.
For the last 2 years.
Yes, more than that, I think.
Yeah, more than that, yeah.
But yeah, I've been coming regularly through the pandemic.
Yeah.
Doing it through Teams or whatever it was.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So, yeah.
So that's the reason why you came, and which is really interesting, because I think a lot of people, go through that at some point in their life. I know I certainly did. So I admire anybody that's, willing to go, do you know what? Let's give this a go, because it's going to maybe improve my life or make it better.
I had nothing to lose, and I was in such a dark spot.
Yeah.
That I just thought, I've got to do something to turn this round, because it was eating me up from the inside.
Yeah. What makes you think that you're different from others? Because there's a multitude of people that I'm aware of, that I know just in everyday life, that are in a similar place, but don't really make the decision to take the action or to want to do that. What makes you different, or what makes you think you're different from other people, that made you? Did you just reach a point where it was so bad that you just needed to do something, or was it because you knew me, or was it because of what you had read about what other people had said about what I was doing?
It was, I think, a mixture of a couple of things. It's certainly because I knew you.
Yeah.
And I know, you're my mate.
Yeah.
You're not going to shaft me.
Yeah.
It was then seeing the results that you'd had with other people.
Yeah.
And reading and watching their videos and thinking, well, as I say, what have I got to lose? Because had I not been here, I might not even be here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that, looking back at that, I find that a little bit scary.
Yeah, you will now. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But I do, and I'm very thankful for the journey that you've helped me along with. Yeah, it's...
Yeah, okay, so let's dive into it in a little bit more detail. So you've obviously introduced yourself, and you're just, what I would say is just an average guy through life. Really smart, intelligent guy, by the way, one of the cleverest people I know. But he's a really smart, intelligent guy, and so, and you're just going through your everyday life like pretty much everybody is in the world. So let's get down into the nitty gritty. So what actually were your problems in essence? I know you said you had this depression and anxiety and it was stress related, but what were the problems? Where was that affecting you in your life? What were the symptoms you were having? I mean, I know you said you were suicidal and stuff, but was it just that, or was there anything else?
It was dark thoughts. It was affecting my ability to work. It was affecting my relationships with people.
Yeah.
I was in such a negative place, and the way I was reacting to other people, situations, was making it worse and worse and worse. It was like a snowball effect.
Yeah.
And it was getting to the stage where, as I say, I think if I hadn't have done anything, I might not be here talking.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. Which is brave you to say, by the way.
I went to the doctors. They prescribed the happy medication.
The happy medication, yeah.
And it's kind of like you get to the stage where you think to yourself, well, are things really that bad?
Yeah.
And then you start doubting yourself. You start attacking yourself. You start thinking that you're broken and that you're wrong, and it's all you, and you just bring...
It escalates and snowballs, like you said,
and you just get into a worse and worse situation, and with your help, I've...
Yeah, well, we'll come on to that in a minute, so I guess, what was your specific... I mean, I know I've got a set of questions, and we're sort of... You're answering the next question before I'm asking the next one. But so I always say, what's your specific pain points? When I say what's your specific pain points, it's like, where was it affecting you in your life? You said your relationship, work, yourself. But in particular, what? Highlight what? And was it just really your actions and your responses, your behaviours?
I thought I had anger issues.
Yeah.
And as I say, that was driving the depression.
Yeah.
That was the anxiety, the stress, and everything else. And I think when I first came to you, I was talking about anger.
Yeah.
And anger management.
Well, it's anger and dark thoughts. Yeah.
And yes, the dark thoughts.
Yeah.
Because I think that was like a byproduct of the anger.
Yes.
Or that's how I perceived it.
Yes.
So, everything that I thought was, it's almost like everybody was criticising me, attacking me, putting me down, when they're not.
Yeah.
It's just how...
A perception that your perception of how others were, or what you was making up. Because I say in... the video about we make things up and believe the things we make up. And I see it with all the time with people in their reactions and responses to me when I talk about what I do and how I've helped. And you can just see them going in their head and literally just going off on a tangent and making up loads of stuff.
Yeah. But we do that before our sessions.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And that's how we then move forward.
Yeah, and the key thing is that's generally a problem for people, because you're not living in a real reality. You're living in a fake world. You're living in stuff where you're just making up. And I it's basically insanity. I mean, but we all do that, but we don't recognise it. And so the good thing about it is you identified that that's what you were doing, and so, which leads on to the next question. Is obviously the next question was, how did you find out about me? So obviously we've been known friends for a long time.
Yes.
We're
friends at school. Well, not at school because we didn't go to the same school, but we lived in the same area of Chelmsford.
Yeah. I think I met you at Chelmsford City originally.
Yes, because I used to go there, and your mum and dad were working.
Yeah, we're
running the bar.
Yeah, exactly. So I think I was about 12 or 13 then, and I used to be in the social club all the time.
Yep.
And that's how I got to meet you. And then obviously, because I was down there all the time, I ended up going with. I think we went away to a away game.
Away games at
Woking, yeah. I mean, I was
Cup.
about 16 or 17, and so yeah. I mean, so I sort of knew you like that anyway, and so obviously you knew about me. But I suppose what made you come and see me? What was like the defining decision? Because you have to make that decision to go. Do you know what, I'm going to go there. What was it that made you come and see me? Was it the fact that you'd been? Go on, what was you going to say?
I think I sent you a messenger message, and I think if I remember correctly, what it said was, "What's the catch?"
Yeah, what's the catch?
What's the catch? Because it seemed too good to be true.
Yeah.
Because reading how you'd helped other people, it was like an eye opener for me that I'm not alone.
Yeah.
And there are other people suffering the same way, and you had the ability to change my perceptions, my outlooks,
and how you felt,
and how I felt, how I now feel.
Yeah,
totally different to 2.5 years ago or however long it was.
Yeah.
I just reached out, as I said, and said, "What's the catch?"
Yeah.
And you came back and said, "There is no catch.
There isn't a catch.
Come and see me.
Come and see me and find out for yourself."
We'll talk about it. And I just thought, well, I really do have nothing to lose.
Yeah. So before coming to see me, had you tried anything else? I know you said you'd gone to the doctors for your happy pills. And
I had my happy pills. I mean, back in the day,
which aren't happy pills at the end of the day, because all they're doing is switching off the signal that's in your brain to make you think that you're not thinking or feeling those things, which inherently is dangerous because it affects us health-wise. Yeah. But yeah, go on. So had you tried to do anything else? Did you go to see anybody else?
I'd done hypnotherapy about 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Where we went into my psyche and found out that I was having issues with this, that, the other, and everything else, and it just seemed to be, well, okay, you're identifying problems, but you're not offering solutions.
Yeah.
And talking about it doesn't.
Yeah, which is what most people are doing. They identify the problems when they don't have a solution for it.
That's it.
And that's why they'll be, you need to eat. Diet's the answer. You need to eat healthy and exercise.
Yeah, well, as you can see,
get more money or a new job, and that's the answer.
No, I mean, I've had issues with my weight, and it's something that I'm actually feeling better about myself.
Yeah, well, we're winning on that one slowly, aren't we?
Yeah, it's a slow and gradual process.
Yeah.
And
so you did hypnotherapy.
Yes.
So was there anything else? Did you do any sort of counselling or tapping, or the EFT, or was there any other?
No. That was the only thing apart from it was all a question. Unfortunately, I was brought up in such a way that I had one of my parents tell me, "Sort yourself out."
Yeah.
It's all in your mind. You can do it yourself. You just got to think positive.
Yeah, and I think this is a big problem with blokes, is that they think that they know the answer to their problems, and what they'll do is they'll make up stuff, or the problem is their pride and their ego will not admit that there's actually anything wrong, and they'll carry on maintaining this false projection that everything's all right, but when inside we're falling apart and ripping apart, and somehow by admitting that there's some things that are wrong is actually like a real massive black mark on your character, and you're somehow weak, and then it's it's a pride thing. But the problem is, the longer that people do that, the longer they go on, the more they they get into gambling, they'll get into porn, or they'll get into drinking, drugs, addictions, eating, or they'll just sit in front of the TV and switch off. All of these things are all the end product of having all of this stuff that we've had. That ultimately, because we're not because we're too proud, and we got too egotistical, and we're too much projection, or too Jack the Lad to actually go, do you know what, this isn't really working for me. I'd rather have all my stuff and think I know the answer than actually solve the problem.
Yeah. I find at the moment you see a lot of campaigns on TV, especially about talking, and yes, that is the starting point. You do need to communicate and open up how you feel, so that you don't get in. But then sometimes you need to take the next step.
Yeah.
And that's quite difficult for some people because, like myself, you see it as an admission of fault, or it's
Failure.
a negative failure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're thinking, well, there's something wrong. But, if you couldn't admit to yourself that there is something wrong, that's when you can
It's really empowering, isn't it, when you can do
when
that?
you can do something about it. And, when I walk away from here every fortnight and think to myself, I feel different. I feel better.
Yeah.
And that's such a big deal.
Yeah.
And sometimes I come away from here, I'm absolutely whacked.
Yeah.
It's as if I've done like an hour's in the gym.
Yeah.
But
that's the thing, we don't realise all that stuff that we've got going on inside of us, how much damage that's causing us. And when we've actually healed something and switched something off, our body goes into repair and makes us feel tired. So when you leave here feeling tired, it's generally because we've actually got something really big from your past that's actually now healed you, that's no longer going to get in the way as you move forward in life.
Yep.
So I understand that as well. Yeah, and it is a crying shame that we've got this thing about we need to just talk, because I've got a big thing about talking. I'm all about talking about stuff, but talking about it isn't the answer.
No.
And talking about it actually doesn't solve the problem, and talking about it can reveal the problem.
Absolutely.
But it doesn't actually solve the problem.
Yeah,
and we all think that if we can just talk about it and have a moan about it and get it off of our chest, that somehow
that makes
that makes everything better, and we've actually solved it, which it's not. It doesn't work that way, and which you've come to realise over time.
Yeah, I mean, you got to remember before our sessions, we normally chat for 15, 20 minutes?
15 minutes, yeah.
Something like that, just about how I feel.
Yeah.
What's happened in the last couple of weeks? Anything you always ask me, what's been going on with you?
Yeah.
And
what's happened in the last couple of weeks?
Is there anything that you need to work on? And I'll say, oh yeah, everything's great, or oh no, I had a something.
I reacted really strangely in this situation.
Yeah, and it's.
I suppose in one way, has it made you become more self-aware of who you are?
Oh, absolutely. And I know it sounds daft, but even like, driving the half an hour it takes me to get here on a Saturday morning.
Yeah.
I actually sit in the car and think, what is it that I need to bring up? What do I? So it does actually make you really quite conscious of what, but it's knowing that having those issues, or having those manifestations in the past couple of weeks, if I bring them up and if I tell you, we can do something about it.
Yeah, we generally do.
That's normally it. So, it's always, it's an ongoing exercise. And, from a starting point really low, I can see an improvement. I mean, I don't argue with my partner.
Yeah.
Me and her used to have rows over stupid things.
Yeah.
We've got a much better relationship now, because I'm even starting to talk to her about things that worry me.
Yes, that's great.
And stuff like that. And then, realising that I've spoken to her about things then means, oh yeah, I can talk to Steve about that.
Yeah.
In case there's something underlying that needs to be rectified. Yeah. But, 2.5 years ago, before this journey started, wouldn't have happened.
Okay, so we'll move on to the next question, which is what made you to decide to work with me after that first session? And I say this to everybody, but after that first session, when you come here, like I say, you come here, I send you the video. So you have to watch the video about the mind, which I don't think that you watched the video, did you? I think I did it.
You did it on a.
I did it here live with you.
Yeah.
Because I used to do that, and I was doing it so often I had to make a video. So when you came here, I did the whole tell you about the mind, how the mind works.
Wrote it on a board and.
Yeah. So how the mind works, and that really basically shatters your whole paradigm of beliefs of who you think you are, who you identify with, what you believe. Just your whole model of how you act, think, and behave gets sort of shot out the window, and you're now going, well, what the hell? And so, and then obviously after that we do a bit of healing as well on a specific thing, and I coach you with behavioural stuff. So and like I said, that for most people that's quite a big thing, because nobody likes to be told or admit that they were wrong in how they how they view themselves or how they look at life or whatever. One of the things that I had to do was accept that I was wrong, and that's what led me to now do this.
Very difficult to...
Very difficult. I don't understand why people find it difficult, but that is a key thing. And, you know, and so I told you, and you being a really smart guy and an intelligent guy, for me to come in and say to you, well, actually, this is going on, and that's not the reason why, and it's this, and it's this, and it's this, it's quite a shock, because it's going to...
Massive.
It's going to it's counterproductive to what you know and how you've existed. So then we do a bit of healing. So what made you come back after that first session? There must have been a reason why you came back. What was that?
Because I could notice the change.
Yeah.
Even after one session, I could notice the change within me.
Yeah.
And I actually, even though you tell me not to, I try and analyse so many things.
Yeah.
Because that's the way, and it's still something that runs with me. And I'm not so bad now.
Yeah.
I don't try and do that, but even after that first session, and I was thinking about what we'd done and how things had been done.
Yeah.
And like you say, you're basically smashing all of your beliefs and
what you think
you know, what you think you understand, and basically you just say, well, that's all wrong. And that's very, very difficult to get your head round.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
The more you try and work it out, the more more bigger can of worms it opens.
Yes.
But the very fact that opened my can of worms as such made me think, well, something's changing.
Something's changing.
And if it's changing, it's got to be, I perceive, well, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
And
so you recognised an instant change after the first session, and obviously as well, the stuff that I told you, you must have gone away and chewed over that and thought, oh wow, hang on a minute, that actually makes sense.
Mm.
Yeah, great. Now, moving on. So I'm going to move on to what are the three benefits. So what are the three benefits you've experienced over this couple of years since working with me and working together and doing what we do over the last 2 years? What's been the three main benefits that you've experienced in your life?
Massive improvement in relationships.
Yeah.
Absolutely massive improvement in relationships, because I don't see people as attacking me or
enemies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's very, very different from, I was very wary of relationships with people, because I just perceive them as people trying to put me down, or so that's the biggest thing, I believe. But I've also got a far more positive outlook on life. I don't look as much. I don't look at the negative side of things. I try and find a positive.
Which was a big thing with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've had to do a lot of work on that.
We've done an awful lot of work on me, self-destructive.
Negative thoughts, dark thoughts, thinking the world's a bad place, etc. And and there's the other thing I want to bring up. So we've been doing this now for over 2 years.
Yeah.
And so what makes you come back each fortnight? What improvements are you finding every time? Because obviously as well, not only I would imagine the benefit was of getting rid of the depression and that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, circumstances changed at work. I now look forward to working. Yeah. Whereas,
not many people look forward to working. I'll say that.
Absolutely.
I love what I do. I mean, it's great.
But, I look for the positive in things, and that's really, really quite liberating, rather than looking at the negative and the dark side. I'm now looking into the light. Yeah. And I'm looking into the light with my eyes open. Yeah. Or more open than
than you were before.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Good. So what's life like for you now? Right this minute now. What's life like for you now? Really, what's changed? I mean, I know you said work's changed and stuff, but
work's
yourself,
changed,
really.
As I say, far more positive outlook. I'm not so hard on myself. I'm a lot better. I don't judge myself. I don't knock myself for making bad choices. Because everybody makes bad choices.
Yes.
It's part of life. You just accept you've made a bad choice, you do something about it.
And you can rectify that.
And you can absolutely rectify it.
I think most of us don't.
No.
We make a bad choice for a decision, we stay there, and because we don't want to admit we're wrong.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the big thing. People do not like to think that they are in any way, shape or form wrong.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing that I've learned, that
it's okay to be wrong,
you've got to accept that being wrong is part of life.
Yeah. I'm a firm believer that if you don't admit or accept you're wrong, then you don't grow.
No.
You can't. It's impossible to grow.
No.
Because you can't be right all the time about everything and not grow and develop.
No.
I mean, for me, I've made so many mistakes in my life. You know, I've been very unfortunate as well. Mm-hmm. That's, but I've also made lots of mistakes.
Yes.
And if I hadn't have made them mistakes, I would never be here now being able to do what I do.
No.
So because I've had to learn from that, I've had to help myself and help others, but it's being able to admit that you're wrong. And actually for me, it was like, just go and do it. Just go and try it. You've got nothing to lose and see what comes of it.
That's exactly
it's no point saying, well, I'm not going to go and do that. I'm not going to go and work with Steve because I don't believe in it. Well, you can't say that because you've never done it. Yeah. And if you haven't done it, you can't say that it doesn't work or it's not going to benefit you. So, and I get, like I said, it's been 2 years now that you've been doing it regularly. Mm-hmm. And I would imagine that, what about your mental health issues? I mean, what about the way you were feeling, and is that all gone now?
Chalk and cheese, absolutely. I don't suffer from negative, I have the occasional negative thought.
Yeah, don't we all?
It's part of life.
Yeah.
I just deal with it in a much different way.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because I look at it and think, well, that's not right.
Yeah.
Change. Yeah,
and the other thing as well is you've probably learnt as well that don't make everything about you.
No.
That's the key thing. We make everything about us, and I do say this, is that if you're reacting and behaving in a certain way, generally it's something in you that needs to be resolved, because that other person's triggering that in you, and it's an issue that you need to resolve. And unfortunately, we've been brought up to live in a blame culture, and we react to everything, and this whole world is actually created to create division, and for you to either react one way or the other way. You're going to get a reaction. It's either going to be a positive or negative one, depending on the person you are. But actually, all of that can be removed, and actually, you don't have to be or behave like that. So you find yourself doing that more.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm far more centered.
Yeah.
I don't have the extremes of. It's almost like being bipolar.
Yeah.
Because you go from extreme highs to extreme lows.
And you've no longer got those.
And I'm far more centered. I don't have the extremes.
Yeah.
One way or another.
That's really good.
Which it's liberating.
Yeah, I mean, you're more in control of your life.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's always been an issue for me, control.
Yeah.
Because I felt that I couldn't control myself. And
the more we try and control, the more problem and control issue becomes, because everything, if you can't control it, everything's out of control. You need to try and control it more. It's like a bit of a paradox.
Absolutely.
It's
absolutely right. And the work that we've done on that, continuing.
Yeah.
Because every so often it will come up.
Yeah.
And then you'll go in and switch something off. And
I mean, there's been a lot of things with Robert originally you only came for the depression and the anxiety, and then as we've gone through and worked things out, all of this stuff, and I say this to everybody, people just normalise stuff. They don't actually recognise that their whole life is generally full of traumas and responses and behaviours and stuff from parents and schools and breakups and relationships that actually causes so much problems.
Yeah.
And you don't not realising that. And we've gone through a lot of stuff with you over the last 50 odd years, and you've probably been shocked as well. You're like, well, I'm shocked I didn't even realise that was there, and I didn't even know that was a problem. And this is the thing, is most people, and I say this, you can't solve your own problems because you can't see it. Once you're inside something, if you're inside a car, you can't tell me what colour the car is.
No.
If you've never, do you know what I mean? And this is the problem. You need somebody outside to look in and go, right, I can see that and that, and actually you can't see it yourself. So that was something I think was a bit of a shock for you, wasn't it?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
It's almost like that. It's almost like you're driving the taxi cab, and I'm now the passenger.
Yeah.
And it's
you got to be okay with that though as well, haven't you?
Oh,
you trust element, I think.
Yes, absolutely. And that's one of the things you always ask at the start. Do I trust you?
Yes.
And if I didn't trust you, I wouldn't have.
I wouldn't continue.
I wouldn't have kept coming back.
Correct, that's true. Yeah.
So
let's move on. We've got to wrap it up pretty quick next. We've had a good old chat. So, what surprised you the most, really, and what's What's made you the happiest? So out of doing this work with us, what's actually surprised you the most? And what's made you the happiest?
I would say the thing that surprised me the most is actually the change in me.
Yeah.
And, how I look at things now in such a different way.
Yeah.
Because that has made me happy.
Yeah.
And it's not a word that I would have used when I first came here.
Yeah.
Happiness was something that I just didn't really have.
Yeah. It's
I
non-existent.
I was surviving.
Yeah.
And I was in survival. I was probably in survival mode.
Yeah.
And, I just have such a different outlook on life now.
Yeah.
And just being me and
being okay with being you.
Being okay and just being me in the now.
Yeah.
Rather than worrying about what's happened in the past.
Yeah.
Or what's going to happen in the future.
Yeah.
Live for now.
Yeah.
And
that's great, and that's how I think everyone should be, and that's why that's where I am now. And I don't really want to project too much into the future. So, what's been your biggest learning for all of the stuff that we've done? What struck you as the wow moment? What's been the biggest learning for you? Because I just want to point out, you come to me on a few times where you've had flu.
Yes.
And I've just basically got rid of that flu on the sofa.
Yeah, I come through with like sniffles. I really didn't. I thought I weren't going to make it because I felt really rough.
Yeah.
And you just go.
Yeah.
Switch it off and
when you leave, you know
it's just like what? Because your perception of what things are.
Yeah. What makes you sick isn't what we're told.
No.
Yeah.
And as I say, breaking down those barriers.
Yeah.
Because that's what they are. What you've learnt in the past that are so very, very wrong.
Yeah.
That it does take a while.
Yeah.
But it's...
So going back to what's been your biggest learning out of it? Or has there been several?
Oh, it's been quite a lot, I would say. I suppose the biggest one is the fact that probably the best part of 51, 52 years before I started coming to see you, most of my life was a sham.
Yeah.
Because I was reacting to things that I was taught and I believed that were...
Which is a shame because you're a super intelligent guy, went to the grammar school and, you do work, it's... Yeah. And what? Anything else?
No, I think, the biggest thing that I've learned is... Live for the now.
Live for the now, yeah, great. So in 3 words, so I'm going to ask you for 3 words.
Yes.
So one in individual words.
Okay.
3 words that would describe your experience. Well, how would you describe what we've done, the work together in 3 single words?
Oh, that's tough. Enlightening.
Enlightening, yeah. That's the first one. I had that one before, so yeah, great.
Invigorating.
Invigorating, great, yeah.
And positive.
Invigorating, positive. What was the other one? Enlightening. Great. That's 3 that I've not had before.
Thank you.
That's all right. You're welcome to them. And so, just going to move on. So, if you would recommend a friend or anybody you knew, a work colleague or a friend, what would you say to them? If you was to recommend them to me, how would you articulate that? What would you say? In your words.
I would say, if I was looking to recommend somebody to you, I would say, I can't tell you how Steve is going to help you.
Yeah.
But he will.
Yeah.
And if you want to take that first step, you'll carry on moving forward.
Yeah. So you're moving forwards?
Absolutely.
And
can't look back.
Yeah.
Got to look forward.
Yeah, great. And then you're still coming after a few years, and so your life's really now in a completely different place. And
very much so.
Yeah, it's great. Look, I really appreciate you giving up your time on this Saturday, Robert. He's a fascinating guy. I've known Robert for a very long time. So yeah, thanks ever so much. So if you are interested in working with me, if you've got mental health issues, emotional health issues, if you just want a mindset coach, if you just want to get better in life, or if you've got illness, sickness, disease, then just want you to know that there is an answer, and we can get rid of that permanently and get you to go on to be a better person, a better parent, more successful in life, and a lot happier and free. So have you got anything more to say, Rob, before you leave? leave before we leave?
No,
Great. So thanks ever again for watching this video. As per usual, my name is Stephen Jakes, and until the next video, I look forward to seeing you. All the best now. Ciao. Bye.